people always say West is the best, like the West Coast is the best, and it's got these big views and the big mountains and stuff. But the East Coast is the beast coast. Like that's where you come if you want a really hard race.
Welcome to Access Appalachia, where we explore the people, places, and work behind the Appalachian outdoor economy. I am Ben Eisenberg, and here with me, as always, is the man we call Claymation, Clay Elkins.
Howdy, everybody. Thank you. Today, we're talking about bikepacking, specifically adventure bikepacking that is impressive. The kind where you design your own route, ride from West Virginia's lowest point to the highest point, and do the whole thing without crossing a state line.
And the guy we got on today just did exactly that. Alden Roth recently rode from Harpers Ferry to Spruce Knob, West Virginia. Get this, Clay, 344 miles and almost 40,000 feet in elevation. 40,000 feet. You're going to want to hear about this one. Clay, do you know what time it is?
I do. I do.
It's not 5:30. It is festival season here in the West Virginia area. Did you know that?
I was wrong, but I stand corrected.
Do you know why I know that? Because my kid is a pickle nut, and he just told me that at the state fair down the street, the Pickle Fest is going to be here. Did you know that was happening?
I did see the sign the other day, and I was like, man, this has gotten bigger, because I think it started just at the brewery a couple years ago, and then I was at Hawk Knob, creamy eyes, the other night, and they were talking about it as well.
Yeah, so Greenbrier Valley Brewing, right? I think they're having it Friday night, and then Saturday they're going to move over to the state fairground and have some music. So I like what they're doing. Kelly's always doing great things at the state fair. I like that they're growing this thing. And I started looking in the festivals and realized there were two more that jumped into my mind because it's new to me. The Ramp It Up Festival out of Ace Adventure and the Wildflowers and Ramps Festival at U Mountain Center. And I need you to explain to anyone listening that doesn't know this, which most people would in West Virginia, what are these ramps that they're talking about?
Oh, the ramps. So delicious, except for when you cook them and eat them and try to kiss somebody. The ramps are essentially a wild onion. And they grow for a short season. They're very hard for people to grow.
You have a patch in your backyard, don't you?
But yes, we do. And it's perfect. So, I mean, you go out there, I mean, most people, they've all got their little spots where you can find them. But you cannot, make sure you don't go take them from the National Forest.
Correct.
Or without certain permits and all that. But yeah, it's basically a very strong onion.
I've had a ramp burger before, which was
they're delicious.
Tasty. Yeah.
So, and just cook them, saute them up like a really potent onion, stink the house up, and then try to make out with somebody and see if they give you a kiss back.
I mean, we'll see. So yeah, I love that it's festival season, and it's a perfect segue because we've got a guy joining us today that knows something about festivals, runs one on the West Coast, even though he lives here in West Virginia. So you want to jump on, and we'll bring Alden on?
That sounds good to me.
All right, my man, let's go. Our guest today is a West Virginia native who grew up in Charlestown, moved to Pittsburgh for film school, spent about a decade building a career in filmmaking, and then came back home through the Ascend West Virginia program. Since then, he's been stacking hats, ultra-endurance bikepacker, filmmaker, city councilman, and he just completed his full ride of a bikepacking route he designed from the lowest point, West Virginia, to the highest, all without leaving the state.
Alden Roth is also the co-owner and executive director of Film by Bike, an internationally recognized bicycle film festival. In 2025, he finished the Silk Road mountain race, 1,200 miles unsupported across Kyrgyzstan. I meant to ask how to pronounce that before I dove into this. 1,200 miles unsupported across Kyrgyzstan. And he's running all of this from the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. We've got a lot to talk about.
Alden, welcome to Access Appalachia.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Man, so you're joining us. We're kind of figuring this podcast thing out. You have been involved in all kinds of multimedia. So how do we rope you in today, man? Was it the connection through Ascend or just being bikers that got you to join us today?
All the above. You know, I'm just always happy to talk about West Virginia, talk about biking in West Virginia specifically. So yeah, it's great.
Nice, man. Well, let's start in there, man. You've got a pretty extensive bio. I was excited looking at some of your sites, from festivals and everything. Like, what's your origin story? West Virginia boy, left, came back. Give us kind of the quick elevator speech on kind of who you are.
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I grew up here. I always get mad because I can't say born and raised. My mom technically gave birth to me just across the border in Maryland, but pretty much the first 18 years of my life lived here. Moved to Pittsburgh for film school and worked there in the commercial documentary scene up until 2020. And then I had gotten married in 2019, and in the middle of COVID, we moved out to the middle of Pennsylvania, where we didn't have any friends and didn't know anybody, and we were locking down, and it was a mess. We got divorced, and my life changed for the better. Not maybe the best thing that ever happened to me, but it was a good thing. And sort of in the middle of that, I found Ascend. I was looking for my next move. I wasn't sure if I was going to, go back to Pittsburgh or go out west or go wherever. And Ascend called, not literally, but, West Virginia was calling. And I was like, I would like to go home. So, twist my arm if I get a little bit of financial support and access to the outdoors. So now I'm back here, and it's just been a wild ride since I got home. Continued doing filmmaking. That's my main gig most days. But a couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to take over Film by Bike, which is a film festival based out of Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. How do you run a festival how do you run a festival in Oregon from West Virginia? We are still figuring that one out. But it's been a blast. I think ever since I moved back home, my life has gotten more and more and more into bikes. Back in Pennsylvania, I was more of an ultra runner and a backpacker. Now I'm pretty much exclusively gravel and bikepacking guy. I work a lot in bikes, so yeah.
Well, and that's great. And what you said really hit nail on the head for me there, Alden, is a lot of people leave West Virginia and don't come back. But for you, what really lured you back to West by God, and why did you choose to come back?
Well, very honestly, it was family. I wanted to be, when I got divorced, I was very lost and I wasn't sure what to do with my life. And, I had been missing my family, and it sort of just made sense to relocate and get closer with everybody. I mean, my grandma's here, aunts and uncles are still here, cousins are here. So, my parents are here too, right? So it just made a lot of sense. Right. But I think, in the 10 years that I had been gone, I gained a lot of perspective on the state. Growing up here, I wasn't really into the outdoors when I was a kid, beyond like playing soccer and tennis. I didn't really camp or anything like that. Didn't hike that much. We rode bikes a little bit. Yeah. Wasn't really into the outdoors until I left. But growing up, I wanted to get out of here. Like, there was nothing to do as a kid, nobody wanted to stick around. And then being in the city, being stuck inside of concrete and buildings and stuff, I was like, oh, I miss being able to walk around and hop on the Appalachian Trail, hop on the Sino Canal. And so, I just sort of got that perspective. And coming back here in the Eastern Panhandle, we do live in this really beautiful nexus where Appalachian Trail is, 5 minutes from my house, and the Sino Canal is 10 minutes from my house. And we have good camping and rock climbing and just great access. So,
I mean, both myself, Mike Renner, who's on our team, is our producer. We're both with the Ascend program, as we talked about, and it lived up to its hype, in my opinion. Moving here, met a community right away, met Clay right away, and got me out there biking. So, I know the message of, hey, let's bring folks that have some perspective back to the state or into the state. Let's open up the outdoors so that there's a lot of opportunity to play and meet people and get outside, which, has definitely come fruition on my side. But, really growing that outdoor kind of, the outdoor economy spirit is what I've seen even more than maybe that was a vision, but just ideas. I've met a number of different folks that are starting businesses or getting into the media side of the outdoor economy, and just coming with fresh perspectives that I think will help push this forward. So I'm glad to see you here. I'm excited to, hopefully meet up. Maybe we'll see you at Country Roads in a couple months up in Canaan Valley.
Yeah.
But staying on that kind of perspective, right? So, as we started looking at Access Appalachia and kind of what we wanted to promote, we were looking for people that had some unique ideas and really to help promote some of those small business ideas in the area. And I've seen some folks that are from Ascender moved here out of state that have those ideas. And we were researching who to talk to. Our producer Mike Renner is a big bike packer and outdoor man and overall, and said we got to get Alden on the call for this. So we were like, well, absolutely. What's your thoughts? He goes, he just came up with this West Virginia low to high, and he was all stoked about it. So tell us about it. What is that all about? What brought this to your mind, and what was the whole ride about?
Well, let's see. I mean, it's sort of the real origin is at some point growing up, my dad told me that Harpers Ferry was the lowest point of West Virginia. And as a kid, I didn't quite understand it. It didn't make any sense to me. But then when I, freshman year of college, right before that, a friend and I had done a high pointing road trip where we went, I think, to 13 states and hit all the high points in each state.
Oh,
and
sweet.
So then we didn't do Spruce Knob in West Virginia. I think he had already gotten it. And so we were just like, whatever, we'll skip it. But then when I moved back home a couple years ago, I learned about the gravel ride up Spruce Knob, or Grusk, which I actually have the shirt on today.
Nice.
And so that's mostly a single day event, but they offer a couple bikepacking options as well. And so that was my actual first bikepacking race that I ever did.
Nice.
And it's just awesome. You pretty much finished the ride at the highest point in the state, and it sort of clicked with me. I was like, oh, this is the highest, Harpers Ferry is the lowest. I wonder if there's a way to connect them. I mean, obviously there's a way to connect them, but when I sort of plugged it in Google or ride with a GPS, it immediately tells you to either go down into Virginia and cut over, or go up into Maryland and take the C&O Canal and then cut over. And I was like, well, why would we leave the state to go from the state's lowest point to the highest point? And over the next 2 years, I did a lot of drawing my own lines and driving around and researching, and figured out it's really hard to do it because right where the state, or where the Eastern Panhandle pinches, is the Kakapen Ridge, where Kakapen Resort State Park is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no public access over that ridge except for taking Route 9 around it. And Route 9 is not, it's a busier road. Don't really want to bike on that. But I tried a couple different options, and I just kept hitting dead ends in private property. So the route that I have right now, it does take Route 9 for like a mile and a half. It's not very long. And I do think it pays off because you get to see, what's it called? I think it's called Prospect Point.
Okay.
Which is a really nice overlook. But they have a plaque there that says that Prospect Point was at one point ranked the 5th best view in the entire United States.
Huh.
And I was like, that might be a little bit of hyperbole, but we'll lean into it. We'll say that it's the 5th best view. But yeah, so, I had been scheming about this route for about 2 years, and I just drew up a bingo card. My partner and I, we draw bingo cards at the beginning of every year. And it's, stuff like go on a trip, sit in a hot spring, see the Milky Way. But then there's also a couple bigger things. And last year, finishing this route was on the bingo card, but I didn't do it. And so I put it back on again. And then at the beginning of the year, it became very important. I was like, I'm going to figure this out.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
344 miles. Is that what it was?
It ended up being about 350. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And 40,000 feet of elevation gain?
That's the thing.
I think over. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not easy. Obviously, there's going to be some elevation gain going from the lowest to highest, but part of it for me was I didn't want it to just be the easiest and quickest route. I like to do mountain biking and really tough gravel. and I wanted it to feel like a bike packing adventure. So
Yeah.
along the way, there are lots of detours and squiggles that like hit these ridiculous single track bits that you could easily skip, but it was so much fun to hit them. And there was one really gnarly hike bike section. It was like a mile uphill. It took me 2 hours.
Jeez.
So it's not for the faint of heart.
I can imagine about 39,000 feet of that elevation gain would have been hike a bike for me.
Yeah. For real.
So, but now that you've done it, I mean, what's the vision? Is this something that you want other people riding? Is it a published route? Where do you see it going long term?
So I do want to publish it, but I haven't done that yet. There were a couple little bits that, when I actually set out to ride it, I had not ridden every single mile on day rides. So I got to a couple spots and I was like, all right, I'm going to go through because I'm here, but I would not tell somebody else to go through because I think this is private property. Mm-hmm. So there were like 2 or 3 spots where I need to double back and say, before I publish this, what is the actual safest or public route? Hopefully going to do that in the next couple months and get this out there. But the sneaky plan that I haven't really announced to anybody other than a couple friends is to try to do a Grand Depart style event of it. So if you're not familiar with Grand Departs, that's like the equivalent of a bike packing race. Everybody starts at the same time, but there's no support. You're doing everything self-supported. You could ride in a pair if you want, but you're not allowed to have, a crew come along and meet you along the way. There's no aid stations. So it's in theory an independent time trial done by a bunch of people at the same time.
Well, I'm sorry to say, but the word is out now. Both of our listeners are now in on it.
That's okay. I already grabbed the Instagram handle, so it's I've been slowly leaking it out. But yeah.
Nice. How many days did it take you?
It took me 5 days.
5 days. Would that be the goal for this event, to make it 5 days, or?
Well, it's up to the people that ride it, so they can do it as fast or as slow as they want. In a lot of Grand Depart style races, they'll go for 24, 48 or more hours without sleeping.
Yeah.
I know there are a couple people I have in mind that I think could do this in 2 days, probably. And
my
then
wife would be cranky.
People will.
That much.
Yeah, me too. Some people will, they might take a week or more to do it and just make it a more enjoyable adventure.
Yeah. Well, what other than the fifth most beautiful spot in the country, anything else jump out at you that just kind of surprised you, or was really something that stayed with you from those 5 days on the road?
I think
saddle sores.
Yeah, exactly.
I have one saddle sore, but that's to be expected. No, I think I really got to explore parts of West Virginia that I would never have driven to. There's other than finding a bike route that tries to purposefully go to remote places, there's not really a reason to drive in these back valleys. I've never seen so many chicken farms in my life, and not big ones either, little ones too. And just some of the most remote places I've ever been. I've been in the middle of Kyrgyzstan and not seen a person for 2 days straight. And I almost felt that remote here in West Virginia too. So
that's great.
It was really special. There were the original route, I wanted it to ride the entirety of the North Fork Mountain Trail, which is a really tough mountain bike trail near Seneca Rocks. Mm-hmm. And I got about 5 miles into it and was like, if I stay on this for the whole day, I'm not going to get off of this trail before sunset. Oh. So I ended up bailing early, but that was like one of the best things ever, because then it spit me out down in Smoke Hole Canyon, and I went to, I think it's called Shreve's Country Store, and I got a chili dog, and there were like a dozen people fishing there. Nice. And it's just like this thing that you would not go there unless you knew about the attraction. But mm-hmm. Google Maps would never take you back this canyon because there's a better road on the other side.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's just these amazing little pockets of the country or of the state that I got to explore.
It is fun to just get
Alden Maps
lost.
will take us there, so that's nice.
Yeah, Alden Maps. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that's an interesting transition, right? So this isn't like, hey, I want to ride some gravel and I put my plan together. You've got some experience around the world doing this one. What's the whole backstory on the Silk Mountain race?
So the Silk Road Mountain Race is a 1,200-mile bikepacking race that goes through Kyrgyzstan. The route changes a little bit every year, but
what had you
came
go?
out.
Did you go there for this race or like
Yeah.
what? Okay.
Yeah. So I found the race. I think it started back in 2018 or 2017, and I saw it on Instagram. And back there, I was not bikepacking. I don't even know if I knew what bikepacking was at that point, but I saw the photos and I was like, "This is epic."
Nice.
At the time, I was a bit more obsessed with trying to do a 100-mile ultra marathon, and I subsequently did that. I've done rim to river down into the New River Gorge a couple times, and after that, I was like, okay, what's my next goal? I've been wanting to do this race. I'm gonna sign up. I didn't know anything. I didn't have the right bike. I didn't have the bags. I've never done a bikepacking event, but that's just sort of how I roll. I'm like, I get an idea and I'm like, I'll figure it out along the way.
Yeah.
And that's when I signed up for Grusk that same year. Grusk was the first bikepacking event that I did. And then, I went over to Kyrgyzstan, did the race. I had a great time, but I ultimately ended up crashing on the second to last day. And so I got my bike fixed and I finished the ride, but I technically finished outside of qualifying time.
But you still finished.
I still finished. Yeah. Yep. And
1,200 miles.
Yeah.
How many?
I was like, well, I got to come back and do it again. Sorry, what was that?
You went back and did this twice.
I did. Yeah. So I did it the first time in 24 and then I did it again last year.
Oh,
and
my
last
God.
year I finished with like a day and a half to go.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, I mean, it seems like bikepacking, and you've just mentioned endurance running and endurance riding, they all seem to be having a real sort of moment in Appalachia. Like it's a resurgence. What do you think about our area that makes it such a good fit for these kind of activities? I mean, and what do you think the folks from other spots that are not as fun, what do you think that they don't realize about what's here?
Well, I think, West Virginia and a little bit of Appalachia at large has gotten a bad rap over the years. We're just a bunch of coal mining hicks or worse, that people will say. And I think people always say West is the best, like the West Coast is the best. And it's got these big views and the big mountains and stuff, but the East Coast is the beast coast. Like that's where you come if you want a really hard race. And I think we've definitely earned that reputation. They have switchbacks out West. We don't have switchbacks here.
Yeah.
You just go straight up the mountain. So I think once people sort of realize that, the locals, mostly the locals started putting together these epic races, and each one has earned its own reputation as being hard and difficult and special in its own way. And I think in the West, they have the big views and the dramatic landscapes to sort of lean on as like the thing. Here out East, it's hard for sure, but then races have to come up with something else that makes them special. And that, because it's not just a big view, I think that sticks with people more because it's more of an experience, or the people they meet along the way, or what they learn about the state when they're here. And I think that sticks a little bit more.
I agree, man. And someone's been here for 4 or 5 years now. Like, there's two things that kind of hit me. First is the community, and the people here, just everyone I interact with is just awesome. So when you're here and you're in a holler or you're on the country road, everyone's cool, and that's different. Someone grew up in New England and then was in DC, not against anything. It's just a different community. So it's been so open. And while I agree with you that there's some B stuff, and I love that, right? And there's some hardcore, it's also really accessible for someone who wants to get in. And there's no elitism that I felt when I was out West. Like if you want to learn to climb, like I didn't rode my bike in years, and I was like, Clay, I want to start mountain biking again. And he brought me in, and we started I became a coach of our team. We started riding and eased me in. So I love that.
You don't even have training wheels anymore.
I know. I think I had a trike that we went out on, but yeah, I mean, it had been so long. All the new gear was like new to me. I was like, this is a sea dropper. What is this thing? But I think what was cool to me about, and I want to transition this question for you with Mountaineer Gravel, is the gravel opportunities that I think that really open the door for a lot of different level riders to come enjoy the state. You don't have to be hardcore. You don't have to be endurance. You can just come for probably some of the most beautiful rides, back to your point, like single tracks in the woods, but some of these gravel rides are just beautiful farmland. So what's your background? I know you're involved with Mountaineer Gravel. What's kind of story there? What would you like to tell us about that organization?
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of backstory first. So at Grusk, the first bikepacking race I ever did, I met a man named David Landis, and he is the guy behind Mountaineer Gravel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I didn't know that at the time. I knew that he had started another Grand Depart called Trans Virginia that takes you all along the spine of Virginia from DC to Damascus. And so he and I met there, and he heard I was going to do Silk Road, and he started looking at my bike and picking it up, and he was like, this is way too heavy. And instead of being mean or, ridiculing me or something like you might experience in other places, he was like, we got to talk. We got to figure this out. I got to help you like cut a bunch of weight so that you can be ready.
Nice.
Yeah, he was a great guy, great mentor. And we've grown a friendship from there. And I started, let me back up. So when Mountaineer Gravel first launched, he invited a bunch of us out to Morgantown to ride for the weekend. And we took photos and created sort of the background of content for the project. And then as it expanded last year, he needed some help. And he knew that I do photo and video. And he asked if I'd be interested to help. And so when Barber County was getting developed, I came in and I wrote a bunch of the routes with him. I took all the photographs. I wrote up the day route reports. And so that's how I first got involved in that project. And then it's just been snowballing ever since then. I did a bunch of the packet material, or the packet material for Mountaineer Monster, the bikepacking event based on Mountaineer Gravel. Nice. And then I also spearheaded all of the media for it. So I ran the Instagram, I coordinated with the photographer, and then I did all the videography for the event.
Oh, nice.
That's great. And y'all really were instrumental in helping with the Mon Forest Towns project.
Yeah, I wasn't part of that one specifically because that was happening at the same time as Barber, but David is the main route developer behind the Mon Forest project. So, yeah.
And Clay, what's the plan? Who's the group that's behind really mapping out more of the gravel routes to try to make it where you can go almost from here to Morgantown?
I think it's David and it sounds like Alden must be a part of that. So, but Mountaineer Gravel is really, they're doing a lot of great stuff.
Because the meeting we had in White Sulphur a while back was all part of the same thing. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I love where we met David.
Because this gravel riding is completely new to me. I'm just starting to get into it. And again, like we've been starting to do Friday night rides. We'll do some Wednesday shop rides. We're single track mountain biking, but Friday we'll just get on and we'll do some roads and man, riding by these farmlands and just views. It's like it all rolls off. I don't know. I really, really enjoy it. So thank you for all your work you're working on that, man. I think it's a huge asset for the state.
It really is.
It's very exciting. And then the one I'm most excited about is here in Jefferson County in the Eastern Panhandle. We're doing a similar project. We have literally no public gravel roads in Jefferson County. Mm-hmm. So we're going to focus more on storytelling, tell the history of the place, the people, all the Civil War history that we have and more, and make it more about experiencing a story as you ride around.
Oh, that's great. That's really, I mean, I like tying in with the story and the history. West Virginia has so much amazing history. So, but Alden, so every episode, I want to jump on something else. Every episode, we ask our guest about a West Virginia gem, a trail, a ride, a road, one of the top 5 views, something in West Virginia that you think deserves a little more attention, something people might be sleeping on. Tell me, anything come to mind as someone you've seen a lot of the back roads? What's one of your favorite West Virginia gems?
I don't know so much that it's hidden, but one of my favorite, and it's fresh top of mind, is Chimney Top. Have you ever been there near Seneca Rocks?
I have
I
not.
have not.
So that sort of ridge line that I talked about it earlier, the North Fork Mountain Trail,
Mhm.
is that whole ridge line. It culminates in the north at Chimney Top, which is just this beautiful outcropping of rock, and you can sort of see all the way down almost to Seneca Rocks. But imagine that fin of Seneca where it's sort of eroded on both sides. Well, the North Fork Mountain is only eroded on one side, so you have about 100-foot cliff at the top of this mountain, and it goes for 20 miles. And at Chimney Top at the north end of the mountain, you just see the entire expanse of the valley.
Wow.
So it's, it gets a lot less traffic because Seneca is 10 minutes down the road. That's what everybody goes for.
Mhm.
But Chimney Top is it's different and just beautiful and awe-inspiring. I ran up there one time, and then I was like, when I was making the low to high route, I put it on there. So
Nice.
it's just amazing.
And can you hike that? Hike it, bike it, all of it?
Yeah,
Or
hiking is what most people do.
yeah, gotcha.
Some people run it, and then an even smaller amount of people bike it.
My wife made a pledge for us, this kind of like your bingo idea, I guess. She wanted to hike a different trail every month for this year, somewhere we had never been, somewhere different. So we haven't spread out as far as we want right now, but I want to we had Seneca on our list, but maybe I'm going to have to change that to your point.
Chimney Top.
Well, Clay gave you a kind of a gem for the state, but let's go local, man. So you move back home, you're involved in your town, and you get into some politics from what I hear. What's the story there? What drove you? And give us a little pitch for hometown right now. What's going on?
So, here in Jefferson County, a couple of years ago, maybe almost a decade now, we had a big dust up with an insulation company that came to town, and they came in through back channels. By the time the public found out about it and all the pollution that they were going to put into the county, it was too late. They were already breaking ground. Everything was signed. And that really rubbed me the wrong way from living afar. And so when I came back, pretty much as soon as I got back, we had another one happen, but we got wind of it earlier. And so far we've been able to stop it. And it's a water bottling plant on the south end of the county. They wanted to pump, I forget the exact stat, but it was millions of gallons of water a day, bottle it and sell it out of state. And so you can imagine that everybody was unhappy about that because we still have a lot of farmers in the county. So it would have dried all their wells up and maybe even done worse to the whole county.
You mean we're not going to add another extraction industry to West Virginia?
What? Why not?
Well, nice job.
Know.
Tell everybody thank you. That's
Yeah. So, now the data centers are a bigger problem, but we have nothing we can do about that because of the way the state legislature wrote that law. But when the water bottling plant thing happened, I was like, I could either get mad on Facebook or I can get active in the community. So I got active.
Love it.
And, at first it was just going to different events around town halls and protests and whatnot. And then an opportunity came up locally in town to join the Parks and Rec Board. And that was, I'm a big outdoors guy. I loved all of the parks that we had in Pittsburgh. They were absolutely amazing. And I saw a lot of opportunity here in Charlestown. So I joined the Parks and Rec Board. And then through being active more it's not really a political board, but being more active with that section of the community, there was an opening in my ward on the city council board.
nice.
And so then I met with everybody. I applied and was appointed for an unexpired term. So it's a shorter term than what you normally get elected for. So it's a nice little dipping my toes in, see if I like it. Yeah.
Kudos for fighting the fight, man. I mean, Clay's right. I mean, moving here, it seemed like the state's giving their resources away. So having folks like you that will fight to keep it, and I believe this region, West Virginia specifically, is just a gem. And so we got to fight to keep that opportunity here. So
yeah,
kudos. Thanks for telling us that story. I was curious how the background went.
Yeah, exactly. And Alden, as we're starting to wrap up, before we do, I want to, we have to mention this Film by Bike, that you're helping run an internationally recognized bike film festival from West Virginia. For anyone who doesn't know it, me and everyone, both of our other listeners, can you just tell us a little bit about it, and how did you end up taking it over? Give us, because I've got the website open and I'm intrigued. I'm excited.
Yeah, so Film by Bike started in 2003. It was founded by a woman out in Portland, Oregon named Aileen Crotty. And she just wanted to see, it was a little festival that started as a place for, Portland is a big bike city. And so they just sort of made bike films and shared them with their friends. And that's how it started. And then she got tapped into this bigger film festival world and realized that people were making movies all around the world. And she grew it for about 21 or 22 years. And then there was a little bit of a hiatus during COVID, and she came back and they had a big 20th anniversary. And then she sort of stepped back and said, 20 years is a long run. She wanted to move on to other creative projects, but she wanted to see it live on.
Yeah.
So she put out a call on Instagram, and I got involved originally in, I think it was 2018 or 2019. I made a short film in Pittsburgh about the East End Keg Ride, which was the East End Brewery. They make a beer every year called the Pedal Pale Ale, and they actually ride it. They take the kegs and ride them to the brewery, and it's this big event. They raise a bunch of money for charity. So I had made a little short film. It got into Film by Bike, and then so that's how I got connected. And when I saw that the festival was, looking for people to take over, I was like, okay, well, it meant a lot to me. I didn't get to go to it when my film was in it, but it meant a lot to have a film festival specifically for bike movies. And I got a bunch of my friends together and said, okay, we can take this over and we can make this work, even though we don't live there, because if you're familiar with the Banff movie or Banff Mountain Film Festival, it sort of travels around the world. Film by Bike does the same thing on a smaller bike focused scale.
Oh, that is awesome. I actually went to the Banff Film Festival when it was in Charlottesville in March.
Yeah,
and it got me hooked.
Right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we do that. Film by Bike goes mostly around the United States, but every now and then it'll go to Japan or the Netherlands or something. And so I was like, okay, look, we can take this over. We'll keep it in Portland, but then we'll continue to expand the footprint after the main festival.
We might need to have a conversation.
Yeah,
we absolutely can. Yeah. So it's not too hard to run it from West Virginia. Most of the work is done on a computer. You're getting people to submit their films, watching and viewing, judging, and then making the curated program. And then we have a lot of really dedicated volunteers from the long tenure of the film festival in Portland that they also want to see it live on. So they help put posters up, and they'll run the the ticket sales and all sorts of things. So we go out for the actual festival. It's a weekend long thing. So we'll be there for about a week, but the local community is there the whole year to help it happen.
Oh, that's great.
You seem like a guy that's not scared to take on some projects, so shy away.
I think my downfall is I take on too many projects sometimes.
I get that,
but I'm not afraid.
Well, look, man, you spent some time with us. I just got one last question before we cut off. Right, if someone's listening and wants to get into gravel riding and bike packing, or any kind of bike packing, what's your answer? If someone's never done it, they want to dig into it, what resources, what do you want to send them? What's your advice?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is to just start. Like, so many people get hung up on the gear. Do they have the right bike? Do they, do they have to buy something new? And I'm like, I've been riding old bikes forever. I've never bought a new bike for myself. I only have used bikes. So start with what you got. If you don't have a bike at all, then get something off Facebook Marketplace and figure it out.
Just call it bike. Just call it backpacking. Then just get out there.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. But I think what a lot of people get scared about is riding on the roads with cars, and I get scared about it still. So that's where I think gravel is very useful, because gravel roads tend to have less traffic, and if they do have traffic, it's going slower. Yeah. So I would ride gravel roads. And if you don't know what to ride, we have in West Virginia, there's Mountaineer Gravel, there's Montforest Gravel. Mm-hmm. We have other projects popping up in Pennsylvania, in Virginia. There are all sorts of these curated gravel route projects. And then if one of those is not close to you, I would look at bikepackingroutes.com. They have a wealth of resources for gravel riding and bikepacking. And bikepacking.com as well has information too.
Perfect.
So
there's
plenty of stuff to look up. Yeah. And people can reach out to me. They can reach out to David Landis. Like, we want more people to ride bikes. So always happy to.
And really just talk to your local bike shop.
Yeah.
They will give you the routes in the area. They can help you out.
Absolutely.
And take a friend. I think
exactly. Is that why you take me?
Yes.
I sweep.
I need somebody to sweep.
Well, Alden, man, thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. You know, from designing and riding a route across the state and running a global film festival from the Eastern Panhandle, right? You're proof that you can do serious work, world-class work right here in West Virginia. We appreciate you being on Access Appalachia with us.
This has been a great conversation, Alden. I could talk to you all day. I mean, because there's so much overlap and whatnot. But everybody else, links to Alden's work, the West Virginia Low to High route, Film by Bike, will all be in the show notes. Check it out. If you ride and you haven't looked into what West Virginia has to offer for bike packing, this is your sign. Thanks so much, Alden. It's been really a pleasure. I can talk all day.
Thanks,
My man. Thanks for having me, guys.
We appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Take care. Clay, man, what a great conversation. Alden, I mean, what an interesting guy. I want to go ride with him. What about you?
Oh, geez. I would like to sweep and be way far behind.
Yeah. 344 miles in 5 days and 40,000 feet. Woo. But yeah, I'm really glad he could join us. So let's wrap this thing up. Let's talk about our access point. What do you think?
I love it. Let's keep going.
All right. As you all know, the whole idea behind Access Appalachia is right there in the name, helping people actually get out and experience this region. So each episode, we feature what we call an access point. It could be a trail, a business, a destination. Anything gets you out there and into it. This week, we thought, why stop at one? We're giving you 12. Our access point this week is the Mon Forest Towns Partnership, an organization connecting 12 mountain communities across the Monongahela National Forest, from Davis to Durban to White Sulphur Springs, right here at home, and nearly 1 million acres of public land in between. Clay, I think you're familiar with this one, aren't you?
A little bit. It's been awesome. So yes, Mon Forest Towns is something I'm so genuinely proud of it. And for some people, it really is hard to understand the concept of these 12 towns sort of coming together as one giant sort of marketing agency or one giant agency that sort of saying, let's go for this. Let's build this as a way to push our whole region. And the way it was communicated to me when I first joined as being White Sulphur Springs rep to the Mon Forest Board is that if we can get everybody who comes to the Mon to hike, visit, whatever, to stay just one day more, the financial results on that are going to be so amazing. And so if we can get them to go from 1 day to 2 days by saying, hey, while you're in White Sulphur, go to Richwood. While you're in Richwood, go check out Marlinton. And if you're in Marlinton, hey, it's just an easy jump over here. So it's been really great to see how it all works, the true partnership of it. And Josh Neese, who Ben, you and I have met with and we've talked to, he's doing a great job leading the team. And another way to really think about it is everybody's heard like the whiskey tour or a wine tour where all these wineries, it's the exact same concept. Collectively, they can go after some of these funds and some of these projects better. And it's easier to, when some of these towns, you don't necessarily have enough for a family to go spend 3-4 days in, but the region does.
Exactly.
I love it. And the Mon Forest, the board, everybody, it's all volunteer driven by the communities. All of these people are really actively trying to make good things happen. And it's amazing. I mean, I've been in all the restaurants. I've been to every single one of the towns. We have meetings that rotate around. I love it. And good things are happening with it.
I've had a chance to sit down in a couple board meetings and I've been through these towns. You're right. I mean, some of these towns are far out. I mean, beautiful drives, but they're small towns out in the middle of nowhere in some sense, but that's what's so beautiful about it. So I really like how they organize that to say, hey, if you're visiting, check out White Sulphur, do some bike pack your bike up, drive up to Seneca Rocks, do some climbing, do some biking, head up to Durban, get a bite to eat, take a train ride, right? Isn't there a train that goes out of Durban? So
you nailed it.
I really like it. And I just saw, I think recently, they just launched a new website, which I think did a great job to present all these towns and itineraries and kind of things you can check out, right?
Yeah, Josh and Sam and Emily are doing a great job with it. So go check it out. Mon Forest Towns Partnership, monforesttowns.org, and find your next adventure.
And like we said, we want to give you one access point. Now you got 12. So go to the site to find it and then find those 12 next adventures that you're going to go on. So Mount Forest Town is our access point of the week.
Seriously, just go poke around on that site for 20 minutes. Tell me you don't have 3 trips planned by the end of it. Towns got it all.
That's a wrap for this week's Access Appalachia. If you know someone we should be talking to, reach out. We want to hear from you.
Thanks for listening so much. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and share it with someone who loves this region as much as we do.
Stories from the ridgelines, rivers, and back roads. This is Access Appalachia. We'll see you next time.
Access Appalachia is hosted and produced by Ben Eisenberg and Clay Elkins. Episode production and fact-checking by Mike Renner. Audio engineering, editing, and video production by Patrick Lockery. Find us online at accessappalachia.com and at Access Appalachia on socials.